This is a perspective shift that I encourage you to go into a social media detox with. So instead of going into it with the intent to go back after this period of time ends, go into it with the perspective that you're test driving life offline. So yes, I'm here promoting that you ditch the social media detox and you do this instead. Hey, it's Carly Burr, and welcome back to Taking Life Offline. Have you ever found yourself feeling overwhelmed, feeling anxious, feeling depressed, feeling overstimulated, feeling annoyed with all of the clutter that's online? If you've ever found yourself feeling this way, you've probably considered doing a social media detox, or you've done social media detoxes in the past whenever you're feeling this way or feeling all of these things all at once, and you feel like you just need a breather, or you need a break, you need some space between you and the online circus. Yes, I believe it's a circus. So what does detoxing from social media mean? It typically looks like taking a week, taking a month, taking 3, taking an extended period of time where you delete the social media apps from your phone, don't get on them on your computer, and you completely are done with them for that period of time. But usually the plan is to go back after that time ends. After it comes to a close, the intent usually is to return once you feel like you've had a good enough break and you've given yourself a good breather. If you've ever detoxed from social media before, you've probably experienced this feeling of feeling lighter, of feeling less distracted, of feeling like a weight has been lifted off your shoulders, of feeling like your mental health has seriously improved, and just overall positive changes during this period of time. On the flip side of the detox, you could have also experienced withdrawals or feelings of strong desire to log back into your platforms before your detox is over. I wanted to point out that side of the detox as well, because I know that that exists for a lot of people, because again, we're not going to try to cover the fact that social media is a straight up addiction for a lot of people. So naturally, the side effects of dropping an addiction altogether are withdrawals and other things of that sort, hence feeling this way once quitting social media for this period of time. I want to speak to the positives today because they likely will outweigh the negatives. So let's say you're riding this high from your social media detox, right? You're in the middle of the detox, you're nearing the end, and you're feeling like, yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like I've gotten the space I needed. I'm ready to go back on. I have a different mindset, different outlook going in this time. I'm not going to fall back into old patterns. I'm not going to fall back into old behaviors. I'm determined that this time is going to be different. I'm determined to make this return to social media different than any experience I've had online in the past. And that is great. That intention is wonderful. I love that. I wish that it would stay more often than it doesn't, because unfortunately, just like a thief in the night, these same habits, these same behaviors, these same feelings, they are back with the same magnitude that they were before you even had the chance to identify them creeping back into your life. And no matter how clear you are, no matter how determined you are to make things better this time, I don't believe it's entirely your fault that you're falling back into your old ways. It's like sending a gambling addict into a casino with a pocket full of cash and saying, don't spend this on gambling. Just go hang out inside the casino for a while, but just don't spend the money on gambling. And there's no plan to actually leave the casino anytime soon. We're just going here to hang out with no real intent. We're just spending some time here and trying not to do the thing that we are addicted to doing. Social media and the feelings, whether positive or whether negative, that are associated with it can be a serious addiction. It's going to be extremely difficult because of how these apps are designed to exist and interact with these platforms without forming some sort of addiction while you're there. It's wild because while social media, yes, it produces negative side effects, it also produces positive side effects, like the hit of dopamine that you receive from interacting or posting on these platforms. So, in my opinion, that very nature of the platform can make it difficult for people to actually identify the problem that social media really is in their life. I think that piece can make it very hard to actually call this out at times. So to the detoxer who has made it a week, who's made it a month, who's made it 3, who's made it a year, you've made it without using any social media and you're planning to return, I have to ask, if you're experiencing improved mental health, if you're experiencing positive changes in your life, more positive feelings in your life, if you're more productive and you're loving the way you're feeling and how you're living while offline, why would you plan to go back? You've made it this long. Yes, you, only if it's only been a week. You've made it this long. So why not keep the offline streak going? I need to create some sort of offline streak, just like for social media streaks of days on the platform, how many days you spend off. Think of it like that, as an offline streak. Keep it going. Are you going back because at the same time of experiencing all these wonderful feelings, you're also experiencing FOMO? Probably. At the same time as all those positive things, are you also still longing for validation and for a boost or something to give you a distraction? Probably. But I encourage you to weigh the pros with the cons, meaning take that experience of improved mental health and weigh it against the experience you're also having of feeling like you have FOMO or feeling like you need a distraction or feeling the desire for connection that you're receiving online. The pros and the impact that they have on you and on your life will hopefully outweigh the cons of feeling like you need a distraction right now, or you need to know what's going on right now, or you need that online connection right now. And here is the most amazing thing about this too. You know that need that you're feeling for connection, that you're feeling deprived of? You can fulfill that offline. We can take care of that no problem in your real life. That need for a distraction or for an escape, yes, we can work on that too. We can learn to get comfortable with silence. We can learn to lean into boredom. And that feeling of FOMO, we can translate that and flip it around to reflect your life. We can do that. And inevitably that will fade as time goes on. But hold up, there's a big problem here. To address these things that you're longing for, that social media is providing for you, to address and to fulfill these things that you're longing for, that you need in your life, that social media is providing for you, to fulfill those offline, it requires effort. It requires you to get uncomfortable. It requires you to do something hard. And that is why most people will just continue to go back to social media, because it's the easy thing. It's the path of least resistance. And so they'll continue to do this and continue to detox periodically when they feel the need to get some space, to clear their head, to improve their mental health. And they will just keep going through this cycle of detoxing, returning to the platform, feeling those same feelings that they need to get away from, detoxing again, and repeating this over and over again. Most people, they don't want to have to put forth effort. They don't want to feel uncomfortable. But if you want to have better mental health for the long run, if you want to look into your future and see a healthier, a happier, a more fulfilled you want to feel lighter and not carry around this unnecessary burden, you've got to do the hard thing and leave social media for good. So yes, I'm here promoting that you ditch the social media detox and you do this instead. I am suggesting that you delete social media for good. I'm suggesting that you close that chapter and you keep your offline streak going one day at a time. I'm suggesting that you start filling your real life with the connections, with the self-love, with the awareness that you need to start building a foundation for your life offline. I'm suggesting that you start filling your real life with the connections, with the self-love, with the awareness that you need to begin building a foundation that will root you in your life offline, that will give you a place to start building upon, that will allow you to be unshakable from any grip, any enticements that may come from social media. I don't want to completely knock the social media detox because I think that it is valuable in giving you a taste into the offline experience, into what's on the other side of life lived on social media. It's really great for that purpose. You can consider a social media detox as a test drive for your life offline. It's like taking it out for a spin and seeing exactly how you can feel, if you like this, if you can see yourself doing this in the future. And if you really care about yourself, about your well-being, about your future, about your mental health, and you've done a detox before and you've felt the improvements, you've seen the changes in yourself, you've seen and felt what it does to you, then naturally you probably could see yourself committing to this and doing this long term. This is a perspective shift that I encourage you to go into a social media detox with. So instead of going into it with the intent to go back after this period of time ends, go into it with the perspective that you're test driving life offline. That way, while you detox, you won't be counting down the days until you can get back on to your social media platforms, and you're actually creating in your mind the vision that maybe you can commit to this long term. So I want to ask you a question, and if you're listening on YouTube, answer in the comments, and if you're listening on podcasts and you're on Spotify, you can answer underneath this episode. I put the question there as well. Why do people detox from social media? They experience the improved mental health, they have better overall well-being while they're offline, yet they still continue to go back to social media after the detox is over. Why is that? Are people not even considering the fact that you don't have to be there? That you can choose to live life offline, and that's totally okay. It's almost as if there's this understanding that living life offline isn't even an option. And maybe you use social media for work, so right now you dropping it altogether is not an option. I did want to acknowledge that. But is there a way to maybe separate your work social media from your personal social media? I know that's so vague because there's so many different ways that your work could involve social media, but I hope that there might be a way that you could eventually transition away from it if that's something that you want, if that's something that's going to drastically improve your mental health, improve your life. But it truly is fascinating to me. I have this conversation often in my life when I talk to people and they find out that I'm not on social media, and no, that's not what I first introduced myself as. Like, hi, I'm Carly, I don't have social media. But it just naturally gets brought up in a conversation, and they hear that I don't have it and how I'm on this mission to help people take their lives back offline. And they say, oh, yeah, that's amazing. You know, I've done social media detoxes in the past. I felt what it's like to live without social media for a period of time, and it was awesome. It was the best. I loved it. And then in that moment, they're like, you know, maybe I should do that again. And they're considering doing another detox because they're remembering how amazing they felt and how wonderful the detox was. Maybe you yourself can relate, or maybe you have said that before. And I want you to consider this next time you go to do a social media detox. What could detoxing indefinitely, aka taking my life offline, what could that do for me and my life? Consider that you will be able to experience all the positive side effects that come with a social media detox, and you'll be able to also take the negatives that you feel like you're missing out on, and you'll be able to take care of those and address those things along the way if you are willing to put forth the effort that it takes. If you're willing to allow yourself to get uncomfortable, if you're willing to allow yourself to be different, if you're willing to go against the grain. I know that if you do, you will not regret it. It will be so worth it, and you will soon enough find yourself feeling as good as your life may have looked at one point online. I'm on a mission to get as many people as I can to show up big offline, to start curating the way that you're showing up in the details of your real life. So my friend, it is time. In fact, if you ask me, it is far past due time to ditch the detox and to delete social media for good, to start living with greater mental health, to start living with more clarity, to start creating the space that you need in order to start becoming the person that God intends you to be while you are here. Now let's get into our action step for today. I challenge you to take your life for a test drive offline. I challenge you to do a social media detox, and this can be small, this can be a week, this can be a month, this can be however long you want it to be, but I want you to go in with the intent, not necessarily to return at the end of that detox. I want you to go in with the intent that this is a test drive. This is me taking my life offline for a drive to see what it could be and what it could feel like on the other side. And if we're being honest, most people will still return after doing this detox. So to those of you who will go back even after this detox, I do challenge you, if going offline is something you are striving for, to once you return, go in with the intent to get closure, to get the closure that you need in order to finally move on for good. And in order to help you get this closure, I created a checklist to closure. It's a simple check step by step that will go through a way to get you kickstarted into finally getting the closure you need to move on from social media for good. I will leave a link in the description for you to download that checklist and get started on getting your closure. Thank you so much for being here and tuning into another episode of Taking Life Offline. And I wanted to let you know, if you're listening on YouTube, that this is actually a podcast you can listen to wherever you get your podcasts. So if YouTube is one of those platforms that you're trying to transition away from, you can listen to the show, stay inspired, stay motivated towards aspiring to live your life offline through listening to the show via podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with a friend who maybe is always detoxing. Let them know that maybe this is a better way for them to finally take the control back that social media may have over their life. Thank you again so much for being here. I appreciate you very much, and I will catch you next Monday.